about what you want to believe in yourself, want to happen in your life, or you can look up some typical affirmations like I was saying, I am positive, I am rich, I am abundance, things of that nature. But really truly start believing in yourself. And it can be a challenge because it's hard to keep telling yourself, I am rich, I am abundance, and then BGEs call it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Trust me, I get it, but I try to keep pushing through, you know what I mean? And as you develop these more positive aspects about yourself, it's going to draw in people who are of that nature.
Yes.
It's going to repel those who are of a negative nature. And like I said, often it can be family, friends, and co-workers.
Sure.
And that can be a tough pill for a lot of us to swallow.
Yes.
So just get ready to swallow that pill if it happens. All right, so let's move on. You got something?
No, but I just wanted to say, so you said the auto-suggestion, that's one that keep us from going forward?
Yes, we're not using it. We're not using it. Yes, we're not using it enough. And I'll touch on it a little bit more, but we are up on our first break, so stay with us. It's the Black Bottom Man Radio Show. Today we are talking the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, 13 Principles. We'll be back after this break.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car change. Lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live. BeExposedRadio.com.
Copy. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the BBD Radio Show with your host, Brother Mike, along my partner in consciousness, my co-host, the lovely Miss Janice. So, for those who missed it today, we are going over this book, Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill, and we're touching on the 13 principles that are featured throughout this book. You can purchase this book at any spot, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, so forth and so on. I think it's a worthy investment. You know, it's always great to learn knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Yeah. That way we keep growing, you know, so every day I'm still learning, you know, and I love that. So we was just going over auto-suggestion. So I'll recap that. Auto-suggestion is when you continue to suggest to yourself the things you want or desire in your life, you know, so whether it's peace, love, money, BMW 7 Series, cocaine, white, I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff out there, you know, but you keep saying these things to yourself and get it into your subconscious, and your subconscious will allow it to send out the right frequency into the universe. Okay. Because this is all attached to universal laws, whether we know it or not. And like I said, the best way I could explain universal law is that thoughts that we have in our mind are frequencies that we emit out into the universe. The same way the radio station will play a song, nothing's being heard outside of that building, but it's coming through everybody's radio in their car, in their home, and that's because frequencies are invisible, but they are received by a receiver. So the universe is that receiver. Our thoughts go into the universe. The universe delivers back to us what we think. So if we think negative, you get negativity back. If we think positive with desires, those are the things that tends to return. And I'll give you a personal confession. Like, I'm not a master of this, but I've had it happen in my life before. Okay. Like, it's so powerful that you don't even have to concern yourself with how you're going to do things, you know, because that's like the first thing I think we naturally do. So if you say you want to be an author, the first thing you start thinking about is, well, how am I going to write a book? Right? You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with having that thought, but I'm saying you can overpower that thought by just simply believing, I don't know how I'm going to write a book, I just know I'm going to be an author. 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 And then the universe receives that, and it'll start opening doors up that's going to lead you to the path of you actually becoming an author. That's true. And then you'll look back and say, I didn't have this mapped out. You know, I just believed that it was going to happen, and then here we are. That's true. You know, so I'd like to put that out there as a personal testimony. I have believed in things with myself that no one else did, and it happens because of my belief. You know, so if I could just master that, you know, and get that beamer. All right, so auto-suggestion deals with you taking time out to meditate. And you know, meditation is powerful. We've done shows on that. Again, I'm not a master of meditation. I am just the messenger, you know, but I do know it's powerful. I do try to meditate from time to time. Most of the time I fall asleep, but that's all right. I was about to say, I am still trying to get a hold of this meditation. Like, it's interesting. Like, even when you start, like, my mind will just take off somewhere else, and you know, I'll be like, wait, I'm supposed to be meditating. Yep. And it's things, again, it's videos on YouTube with people who specialize in meditation that can, you know, teach you how to deal with when your mind starts to go different directions. Because the whole purpose of meditation is to slow your mind down. Slow it down, and then you actually control the input. You know, see, we don't have a lot of control of the input. Our mind's just racing, and whatever our eyes and ears come across, that's what gets put in. So meditation is slowing that down and then choosing what you're going to put into your mind. And again, easier said than done, but hey, it's great to practice it and try to have fun with it. I was going to say, because just think about it, because that sounds wonderful. Yeah, it is. If you can just control your mind. Like, I didn't realize how noisy my environment was until I started trying to meditate. And then suddenly, you just start hearing everything. You know what I mean? You hear the air conditioner come on. I heard the freezer click off. You know, I heard the ticking of my watch off to the side. I'm like, I never even heard none of this stuff before. But it was because I was trying to get into a meditative state of mind. All right, so let's move on to number 4. So number 4, the fourth principle in Think and Grow Rich is specialized knowledge. It says if acquiring knowledge ensured success, professors would be the wealthiest of the lot. However, this is as far from the truth as possible. Just having knowledge doesn't make one intelligent or even successful. This is proven by the fact that the information is available to everyone these days. All the knowledge of the world is just a mere click away, and yet few in the world are successful. This is because it is not acquiring knowledge but using it that makes one successful. The correct use of specialized knowledge can make one successful, which is why instead of focusing on gaining knowledge, focus on the knowledge that will make your desires come true and help you achieve your success. Okay. All right. Specialized knowledge.
Right.
Okay. So I like the first part where it says, if acquiring knowledge ensured success, then professors
would be the most successful people in the world.
Right. I felt that when I was younger.
Okay.
You know, I guess I thought too much as a young man. Because as a young man, I always thought it was weird that a professor could teach you, say, like how to be a rocket scientist, but he's not a rocket scientist.
Right.
I always thought that was weird. You get what I mean? Like, they can teach you how to do this, but
that's their specialty.
Yeah.
That's what they specialized in.
Right.
So that's what they focused on, teaching you that.
Teaching you that.
They didn't focus on learning it and
actually
becoming
being
one
the rocket
themselves.
scientist.
Yeah.
Right. That type of deal. So that's what it's saying. So here's the little saying that I have that wraps this up for me, right? Okay. Knowledge is the gaining of information.
Okay.
Wisdom is knowing when to apply it.
Nice.
And that's pretty much what they're saying. It's
Yeah.
a lot of people that have knowledge. We all have access to it, but at the same time, it's very few people who are successful. So this is proving that having the knowledge is not the equation for reaching a success. It's how you use it.
That makes so much sense, because just think about it. Like, sometimes you could be all over the place. Like, you're trying to do this, but you're here, there, and like you're all over the place instead of just focusing on that one place that you're trying to be. So that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it's all about knowing how to apply it. So you can absorb a bunch of information and have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't know how to apply it, then you can still not have any more success than the person who only knows half of what you know.
Yeah, focusing on what your actual goal is, not all the other little things that surround it. Focusing on the actual goal.
Yeah, it says just having knowledge doesn't make one intelligent or even successful. This is proven by the fact that information is available to everyone these days, which is very true.
Yeah.
And that is something else that I constantly try to put in people's ear when I have conversations with them. You know, like, we have such access to information today. I don't care what it is that you want to learn about or know about. It really is just a click away.
It just going over that statement, just reading that whole statement, it just brought clarity to me, and it totally makes sense to just focus in and zoom in on, you know, specifically what you're trying to do versus everything else.
The correct use of specialized knowledge can make one successful, which is why instead of focusing on gaining more knowledge, focus on the knowledge that will make your desires come true and help you achieve success. All right, so I have a great example of this that I used on the show before.
Okay.
All right, so it's saying it's not about getting a whole bunch of knowledge as far as the success you want to have. It's about getting the knowledge that pertains to what you want to do. All right, so if you remember on the previous show, I had gave an analogy where I said, you know, you got 16-year-old kid who he wants to be a chef, right? You have another 16-year-old kid who he just wants to work. So when they turn 18, they both get jobs. They get offers. One gets an offer to be at a factory and warehouse that's going to pay $19 an hour, and they also get an offer at McDonald's.
Right.
Right. The way we come up, both kids are going to take the warehouse job to get more money. But I say, for the one who wants to be the chef, you should take the job at McDonald's, because at McDonald's, you're going to get some skills that is tailored towards what you want to do with your life, right? So he goes to McDonald's, the other kid goes to the warehouse, right? 2 years later, the kid at McDonald's is now worked his way up to where he's on the grill. So he's getting cooking experience. He's learning the kitchen environment. The kid in the warehouse, he's still in the warehouse. You know, he's making good money, so forth and so on. Well, by the time you hit the 5-year mark, The kid in the warehouse is still there. He may have moved to another job or another inventory place to get more money, so forth and so on. But he's now realizing he really doesn't like this kind of work.
Right.
Right? The kid that was at McDonald's, because of the years he spent at McDonald's in the kitchen, he's now a prep cook.
Right.
At some local restaurant. So he's in another kitchen. So you see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
3 years after that, he becomes sous chef. The other kid is still in a factory warehouse, hating this work more and more.
Yes.
So that's the difference between, he stuck to specialized knowledge, right? And got a job that was tailored to what he wanted to do with his life versus just getting a job to make money.
Stay within your field of dreams.
Right.
Versus.
You really, when you apply for a job, if the truth be told, and I know this is going to sound very controversial, but according to the things that I've learned and the people I've studied, right? If truth be told, you should always apply for a job that's tailored towards what you want to do in life, not a job that just pays you a certain amount of money.
Very true.
Because you're going to hate the job and you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're stuck and you can't leave that job because now you got family to take care of, responsibilities, bills, so forth and so on, and then you hate these people. You hate this job that you show up to every day. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. And why not have a whole lot of experience in what you want to do versus experiencing everything else but what it is you want to do?
Right. Still feeling like, well, I guess I'll have to go back to school, which is great,
Right.
but you're going to still feel that you haven't moved in the direction of what you actually want to do, with your life. If anyone out there is familiarized with Think and Grow Rich, please leave us your comments. If you've read the book before, if you're familiar with it, we'd like to get your thoughts on it as well. So we have to deal with specialized knowledge. All right, number 5, the 5th principle, imagination. Imagination can prove handy if used for the right purpose instead of just using it for one's entertainment. Creative imagination is the kind that comes in useful when you become successful. In other words, synthetic imagination is caused by the efforts around us, and the creative imagination becomes the cause of the effects around us. When you use creative imagination to visualize and picture the fruits of your desires as a reality, they soon take form and in fact become a reality. All right, you have to have an imagination.
I love the imagination one because I don't think enough of us tap into our imagination enough for that creativity. Like we're such
I'm gonna go with you on that.
We're such creative people.
We are.
So much up in that mind of ours. So instead of using it on other things that isn't beneficial, just imagine if you did use some of that imagination on something creative. The things that you can build in your mind and bring to life.
Right.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Creativity and imagination. Imagination, I think, gets lost on us. You know what I mean? And I just think that's an American thing, period. I'm not even going to say it's a black or white thing. I think that's just an American thing. Imagination gets lost. I was that kid when I was young where they said to the kids, remember they used to tell us, you can be anything you want to be when you grow up. I believed them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that got stuck in my head. Like, really? I can? I believed them, right? And we do use our imagination. A lot of us, we tend to use it in times of crisis because as black people, we're survivors. So when it ain't enough food in that house, we kick in that imagination and we figure out how to feed everybody on a small budget, right? So we do use our imagination. If we got bills to pay and, the check's looking short, our imagination, we start figuring out our creativity, how we can, take this and a little bit off this check and I'll pay a little bit that. So we have it.
Definitely.
We're just not necessarily maybe tapping into it for our personal desires. You get what I mean? But you do have to have imagination. You have to be a dreamer because it all starts, as a dream. As far as creativity, my personal experience with creativity, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
I'll use a quote from Tesla. For those who are not familiar with Tesla, look him up. That was the guy he really is the one who invented electricity. You know what I mean? He had the plan for the world to have electricity for free. And, you can look into that. They took all that away from him. But anyway, Tesla has created a lot of great things throughout his time. And they still use his his creations, his inventions, his theories, to this very day. That's why there's a Tesla car company, right? And Tesla cars tend to be a little more technologically advanced on the inside than a regular car. That's the whole support of the Tesla thing. But he was quoted before where they asked him, how is he so creative?
Right.
And he basically said, in order to be creative, you have to spend time alone with yourself. And that's really, really true. And that's what I found in my personal experience. We are so bombarded with society and entertainment and doing things. Like we're constantly watching TV, we're constantly on Facebook, we're constantly going to cookouts, we're constantly going to events. And that's fine. But it can also be a distraction because you never sit down and just have some moments to yourself with no television, no Facebook. I'm not going to no events today. I'm just going to take a little time out and try to think, right? This is when your creativity gets tapped into. Now, most of us don't do that unless we're on the toilet. And we take the phone with us with that.
Right, and I started thinking when you said that, but look at our kids now, because some of our kids are really tapping into their imagination right now because these kids are coming up with some brilliant ideas, and their creativity, from what we're seeing with the kids now, theirs is they're tapping into their imaginations.
It's a lot of creativity going on with them. I think majority of it deals with entertainment, but it's creativity nonetheless. But as adults, we have to take time to ourselves, like we're taught that, if you have a bunch of friends and stuff, that means you have a great social life. I'm saying consider the alternative. The more friends and people you have in your life that you deal with, the more distractions you have, because it's always something to do with everyone else.
Yes.
You understand what I mean? You got a clique that's 12 people deep. Every weekend, every week, it's they're gonna have something to do, even if it's just going to the mall shopping. Let's go get crabs. Let's go cook out. Let's go to the pool. Let's go to the event. Let's go here. Let's go there. And again, I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying we don't know these are distractions.
Right.
People who tend to achieve the things in life they want, they tend to fall back off of that, at least for a period of time, until they get where they want to be. And then they say, okay, now I can relax a little bit. Now I can party a little bit. We tend to get stuck in that groove. And we was in that groove in our teens, we in that groove in our 20s, we in that groove in our 30s, we in that groove in our 40s, and we're really not taking that time to be alone with ourselves, let our creativity open up, and start figuring out the things that we want to do to try to improve our lifestyle.
That is so deep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go too deep on
No, but that is so deep, because just think about it, it's so true. So I guess that's why I say it's few people that are successful, because
and that's what
everybody
that's what it was saying.
Take the time out to do.
No,
what
they're
you
not.
Just said.
They're not, and a lot of us have never even been taught it. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that I'm saying it today this is new to a lot of us. But that's the whole reason we have the Black by the Band radio show, so we can bring forward things that you might not have heard before.
I can't even sit here and tell you right now how much time I take in a week. Let's just go with a day to even tap into my imagination.
Sure. I'll give you proof of it. That this is irrefutable proof. Look what happens to people when they go to jail. That brother was a killer when he was on the streets, right? This dude was gangster the whole nine. They put him in jail. 8 years later, they talking about he got 2 master's degrees. You get what I'm saying? Right. And it's because all those distractions got taken away, and you just got set down.
Right.
And then suddenly, creativity goes through the roof.
Excellent point.
It's a terrible way to find out that you're an intelligent person, but it happens all the time.
That's very true.
Yes, you get those distractions get removed, and you'll find out who you really are. Wow. And I'm saying we have those distractions in our life, and we don't necessarily pay attention to it because it becomes the norm. You know what I mean? But if you ever start pulling away from it, you're going to realize it was a distraction when you see how they react to it. Because, like I said, some people will feel a certain way. They start looking at you different. Why you don't ever come out with us no more? Why you don't ever go here with us no more? Last weekend we went to Six Flags. Why you didn't go with us? We can't even imagine, at least some of us, that someone would want to work on their life and just be at home. That's like left field to us.
This imagination one is beautiful. All I can tell you is like the BBD radio show be teaching you something.
We
for
bringing
real.
it. We bringing that fire. We bringing that fire.
Man, if you could watch this show and not learn something, something's wrong.
You know, I hope people learn, because Lord knows we do. We all here learning. So I found that your creativity comes into play when you start to eliminate some of the distractions in your life. But the key is first you have to even realize what the distractions are. And a lot of the distractions we don't think are distractions because often they're enjoyable, they're fun.
Right, but can you imagine that it's such a waste when you're not using that imagination for creative purposes?
It is, because you don't know how creative you are.
That's terrible.
You know what I'm saying? But if you go and do the research on people who have like created like great things in society, you will find that a lot of them were loners. Yeah, that's when you find out who you are. You understand what I mean? But we you know, again, we're programmed a little differently as Americans. Americans are programmed to kick it. You know what I'm saying? To have fun. You know what I mean? Black, white, whoever, you know, they programmed all of us to constantly want to entertain ourselves and have fun. When in all reality, that's a part of what can be holding us back from reaching certain potential.
Just so with you sitting here speaking about it now, do it make you feel wonderful that you are using your imagination and putting it all in BBD like you're doing? Does that make you feel
I didn't think of it that way, but now that you said it, yeah, I guess that does feel pretty good, because I'm trying, you know.
Right.
'Cause BBD definitely came out of my imagination. You know, I always give all praise to the Most High God. You know, He's the one who gave me the ideal. But yeah, it came through my imagination and trying to figure out how I could combine business with consciousness, because those are two things that usually have to keep apart. You know what I mean? But being that it's my business, I don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's my business, I can combine them. So BBD is business and consciousness at the same time. And then I've always been a reader. You know, I've always liked learning, and I know a lot of us don't have time for it, or we just don't like it. So I figured what better way for me to give back than to go over the things that I've learned and books I read, and then it helps to refresh me, it keeps me learning.
Right.
It just seemed like a win-win to me.
And then you just bring this knowledge to the world.
I'll bring it to you for free. All you got to do was tune in to the Black Body Band radio show, and hey, buy a shirt every now and then.
You know,
we appreciate it.
You do know that is like so great of you.
Thank you, Miss Janice. I appreciate that. The check is in the mail. All right, let's move on. Okay, so number 7 is the principle of decision. The type of decision Napoleon Hill talks about in his book are firm and resolute desires, instead of the ones that are formed and forgotten about in an instant. People who keep forming and changing their decisions are barely ever able to achieve what they desire. You need to believe strongly in your decisions to the extent that once you've taken a decision, it becomes concrete and must be followed through. However, this doesn't mean a decision cannot be changed. However, a decision that is changed regularly is not much of a decision. Take strong and well thought out decisions and then use them through to the end. So decision making. So this might fall into what I was saying previous, like with a post, and then you didn't get the response from the post that you thought, so it can make you kind of revisit what you was trying to do.
Right.
So he's saying don't do that. He's saying stick with it. You know, like don't base it on, you know, the immediate result or what you wanted for the immediate result. You know, stick with your decision, even though it can be changed. But don't be a flip-flopper. Don't change decisions, you know, often.
That was crazy you said that, because I just went through a situation like that just earlier today, before I even came here to do the show. I think I made like five decisions like in 5 seconds, and somebody told me like, no, make a decision, stick with that.
Right.
And that's what you go with.
That's what you go with, and it is easier said than done sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, you say what you say and just mean it. This is what I want to do.
Especially when it just said, when you read it, like changing it, you change it 5 different times. Like, yes,
Right.
I had just did that, changed
I
it
think
like 5 times.
I think sometimes with our decisions, we do a lot of things to convenience other people. You know what I mean? So like if you know your decision may not be liked by the people you have to give the decision to, that can stray us a little bit.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because again, when you try to get on a different path and think differently and move towards what you want to do, it's going to cause some people to feel a certain way about you because you did just say, no, I'm not going.
And then
they're like, why not? You know, black people don't let you just tell them no.
And
you got to explain it.
Think about, you can lose credibility in it too, because if somebody see you changed it 5 different times, I mean,
Sure.
who's going to go along with it at that
Yeah,
point?
it's true. Because if you stick with it, at least they will respect that. They'll say, I don't like the way he operates, but shit, at least he sticks to what he says.
Right.
You know, if he said no, he means no.
Right.
So yeah, decision making. I think that's a good one. Because decisions can be hard sometimes. Because again, we tend to think about other people. How is this going to affect these other people when they find out that I said I voted against it? You get what I mean? You know, the family wanted to do this. You know what I mean? Or the friends wanted to do that, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Even if you find out people that you were trying to impress with the decision, it didn't. It didn't impress them.
Right.
But you still have to stick with it.
Right.
Like, some people will change it because of that.
Right. Yep. Again, I'll use me as an example. Like, you know, I've said certain things in regards to racism, and it's black people get very uncomfortable about that. You know, and there are white people who've seen it, and you know, they might not even like the statement either, but they respect it. You get what I'm saying? I had one of my customers the other day. I'm cutting his hair, a white guy, and we having conversations about racism, and you know, I expressed certain things that I feel. You
Right.
know? And you know what he said to me? He said, Mike, I can't be mad at you for feeling the way you feel. He said, I'm going to be honest with you. If I was black, I would not like white people. That's exactly what he said. He was like, I just wouldn't. You know what I mean? He was like, and I don't even know half the things that you guys go through. He said, but I know what I see. I know what I know that y'all go through. I know things that I've been forced to do that I didn't want to do. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? But he's like, you know, it just is what it is. So that's what I'm saying. Even if people don't necessarily like it, they will respect it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, so they, you know, he respected it. I was like, you know, I'm not to that extent, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, it's good that you understand we're not out here fabricating things, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we go through some things. So again, it takes a strong spirit, strong
Yes.
courage about you know, to make certain decisions and say, hey, this is what it is. This is what it is. All right, we'll move on though. All right, the 8th principle, persistence. So we got 1 minute. I'm gonna read this real quick and then we'll touch on it after the break. Many people fall at the first attempt. They might fall on their 100th attempt, but the simple fact is that the 100th failed attempt proves their dedication, and this strength of desire will ensure they succeed at some point in the future. Many people give up on the first attempt, claiming that the challenge is too tough for them, and as a result, these people barely ever succeed. In order to succeed, there should be an unwavering quality to the desire. In other words, if you want it and you're willing to do anything and spend as long as it takes to make that desire become a reality, then it will become a reality. All right, persistence. I like that one. We're going to talk about that after the break. Stay with us. It's the Black by the Man radio show. We are talking Think and Grow Rich. We'll be back after this break.
Honest Exchange Radio Show every Friday 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Saturday 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com. I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out. And
Exactly.
just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything
Right.
in that nature. And I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing
Right.
and what I wanted to
Right.
be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do, and I think that that's a big problem that people face now, like you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular. It's getting that
Yeah.
person money. It's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause.
Right.
I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, yes. And I was thinking, like, you know,
The Artist Exchange Radio Show.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Radio show with your boy Brother Mike. So we was going over the 13 principles of Think and Grow Rich, and we are on principle number 8, which was persistence. I'll read it again. Many people fall at their first attempt. They might fall on their 100th attempt, but the simple fact is that the 100th failed attempt proves their dedication, and this strength of desire will ensure that they will succeed at some point in the future. In other words, if you want it, you will do anything and spend as long as it takes to make this desire a reality. Persistence.
You will be persistent. You will keep pressing it. That's the issue.
Is this an issue within the Black community? Not being persistent enough?
I'm gonna have to assume that it is.
As far as I could see,
yes.
yeah. You know, and I'm just strictly basing that off of our social stance as poverty.
Yes. And that's
Versus
what, I'm basing it off.
I hear all of us say, which is we want more, we want better. You know, so if that's not matching up, it's got to be a lack of persistence somewhere. Now we know that we go through different obstacles that others don't, but it's not a stop button; it's an obstacle.
I was gonna say that's just like the example you used earlier during the show when you said when we're pressing forward and we hit a hit a snag or something, and hit a bump in the road. And then that might cause us to give up. You know,
Okay.
We just have to be a little bit more persistent.
Yes, we got to keep it moving. You got to keep your faith.
Or-
You got to keep the desire to know that what you want to achieve is beneficial for you.
And you might have to take 100 no's before you get the first yes.
Absolutely. I always use that commercial back in the day with Michael Jordan, where he talked about how he missed the game-winning shot 100 times. You know,
Right.
but he made it. You know, 40 times or whatever the number was. You know,
Right.
so he was just making the point that I just had to keep being persistent with it. You know, you have to keep being persistent. We are being persistent with Black by Demand. You know, we do not receive the support that we would like to receive, but we do know we're going to receive that support as we all continue to become more educated, and begin to wake up more. So we're going to stay persistent with it. We're going to keep on loving you. We're going to love you to death. We're going to keep on loving you until you love us, because we're doing it for us.
And BBD is very persistent.
BBD is very persistent. It's very positive. Even though some things deal with truth that may make some a little uncomfortable.
Right.
But I always say you didn't get into this under comfortable conditions.
You do.
So you're not going to get out of it under comfortable conditions. It'd be a little disturbing.
Right.
But if you understand the message, it's about group economics,
Yes.
which is going to better us as a community of people. It's going to uplift us. Speaking of which,
Yes.
I was talking to a millennial.
Okay.
And he asked a great question.
Okay.
He wasn't familiar with group economics. And he said, Once I explained to him what it was, he said, well, how's that going to help us overall?
Yes.
I said, you know what, young man, that is a wonderful question. And being that you ain't but 22 years old, I'm so glad to answer this for you.
Right.
I said, okay, so if we support each other through group economics and we start supporting our own businesses, that's going to uplift our businesses, right? I said, so imagine when you go off to college and you come back home with that master's degree, that you can go work for a black company. Because that black company will be just as big as its counterparts because we supported that black company. So now they can hire you and you can be in a job where you don't have to worry about dealing with certain racisms that we deal with when we don't work for ourselves.
Right.
I saw the gears turning in his head. You know what I mean? He was like, okay, that's what's up. I said, yeah. I said, and that's just one example of how group economics can help. But if our black businesses do well, then it's going to cause us to do well. You get what I'm saying? Because we can put pressure on them, not only to hire their own, but also to help repair our neighborhoods. You know, we can hold them accountable.
Absolutely. Black businesses help uplift and our communities as well. Because think about it, like when we were younger growing up and we had I grew up with black businesses all in our neighborhoods and through our communities. And the neighborhoods and communities was nothing like they are now.
Right.
So you can look at it and compare the difference right here, right now with the communities, how bad they are. When we did have black businesses within our communities, they were so much better. And it did help uplift
it did.
The neighborhoods. And it did give people in the neighborhoods jobs.
Absolutely.
And I think it did a little more than that.
It did. It gives a sense of pride, you know, where we know we're taking care of ourselves, right? And we're teaching our children. Because when you have black businesses to show the children, you can teach them. This is why we come here.
They also help keep our neighborhoods clean.
Helps keep our neighborhoods clean. It's an endless amount of positive effects that come out of us supporting black businesses and giving some of our money back to our people. You know what I mean? Having the understanding that 9 out of 10 when we get our paycheck, like we tend to give the money right back to the people who gave us the paycheck, as well as to other people who don't even give us a paycheck.
Right.
So this is why black neighborhoods are surrounded by businesses from other races. You know, the Italian man's got the pizza shop and the sub shop. The Asians got the beauty supply store. They got the chicken box spot and the Chinese restaurant. The Middle Eastern Indians got the Dunkin' Donuts. He's got the gas station. All of these things are around black neighborhoods, right? Because we're the only ones that will allow other races of people to put their businesses around us and get all of their money from us and then go send their kids off to private schools and meanwhile treat us like crap every time we come into their store.
And you have to think about it too. There was a lot of help from these black stores or businesses that was in the neighborhoods too.
Right.
It was a lot of help for our communities.
We can relate to each other the same way the other races relate to each other. So if it's a small black business, you get what I mean? And you can go and say, you know, Mr. Johnson, my mom told me to ask you if we could get 2 dozen eggs, and then when she comes in Friday, she'll pay it. See, that black-owned business will say, yeah, I know your mother. I've been knowing your mother for years. Go ahead, take it to her.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Yes.
We can look out for each other. So I was glad he actually asked that question. I told him, great question. All right, let's move on, though. So persistence is what we last did, right?
Yes.
All right, so number 9. The 9th principle is power of the mastermind.
Oh, goodness.
One of the most important principles, this principle explains that in order to achieve what you desire, you need to align your thoughts and vibrations with similar vibrations, which can be achieved by keeping company of like-minded people. Oh, yeah, this is what I spoke on earlier, right? By choosing your company wisely, you will be surrounded by the right kind of motivation that will inspire and challenge you. If instead you surround yourself with lazy people who tend to slack off, with time you will fall into the same mindset and forego all desires.
Right.
By surrounding yourself with people who motivate you to reach higher, you will achieve more. All right, for me, this is a big one. This is a big one because my personal take is that a lot of us struggle with doing this because we see it as leaving family and friends behind.
Right.
And you're not leaving them behind. You're just choosing to also engage with other people who are like-minded like you. You know, so if you're into cryptocurrency, like, you're probably not going to get that vibe from your friends, from your cousin, your favorite cousin, your girlfriend, you know, your homeboy, so forth and so on. You're going to have to be around other people who are of that vibe.
I can tell you, I just had a personal experience of something like this myself. Now, I'm a person, I've been working like 2 jobs for years, but I've been around such positive over the last few years that I made a decision, like, why am I working 2 jobs? I can go get 1 job that will pay me the amount of 2 jobs that I'm working.
True.
Work 1 job, get home at a reasonable time, and then, you know, still have some time maybe to use my imagination for some things.
Right.
But that wasn't until I, you know, got around a circle who was thinking differently.
Right.
Like these things, like they were thinking not to overwork themselves, and they were thinking of ways to get more money, not
Without
how
doing
to-
more work.
Yeah, not
Right.
ways to do more work or work more hours, like
Right.
work overtime. No, they
No.
was trying to eliminate no overtime, no double work, no overtime, no extra job. So until I got around a circle like that, my mind used to be like more work too.
Perfect example. That's a
More-
perfect example.
More overtime, pick up a second job or something like that. And, you know, not ever did I think in a million years to go get my 6-figure salary from 1 job
Right.
until, you know, recently.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I mean. You know, we don't have these teachings. You know what I'm saying? So we don't understand that the people that we are keeping in our circles can actually play a part in keeping you down.
And just think about how much time, you know, 2 jobs took away from my life. Like,
I can only
with
imagine.
2 jobs, you don't have enough time to do all the things that, you know, we've been talking about on shows, like eat right, exercise, and even today with using your imagination to be creative. Like when I do these shows with you, like, no, I'm not just sitting here. Like I'm actually learning from,
Nice.
you know, the shows, and it's actually helping me. Because if I had not been doing the shows, like I would never have came out with, like, you know.
Well, that's
this-
what's up. She gets a bell for that. I thank you,
Okay.
Miss Janice, because you know that's what it's all about.
Yep, tapping into all your skills and using the law of attraction, like all of this
Right.
help you to get to that one goal. Like we all trying to reach a certain goal, and in order to, you know, get to that,
Right.
you know, you have to have a plan.
You have to have a plan, and,
Right.
and you don't have to have a well thought out plan. That's nice.
Yes.
But you at least have to have a plan to keep learning.
And you at least have to come out of being all over the place.
Right.
'Cause I used to be a person that was just all over the place, just everywhere. Dip here, there, just everywhere. Mine's all over the place, everywhere. But
I think that's American.
until recently now, like I'm on a
Tunnel
clear-
vision, huh?
Yeah, tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision, right?
Tunnel vision.
That's why they put those blinders on horses.
And let
during
me tell
races.
you, when I had that desire to go get that 1 job, and when I had enough faith in myself to do it, I can't tell you when I went to get that 1 job. I can't tell you how many phone calls that I got immediately.
Right.
Like phone was ringing immediately,
Nice,
and I was just like, wow.
nice. That's what I'm talking about. Progress. So yeah, power of the mastermind. It deals with who you surround yourself with, and I think another thing that holds us back is, like, a lot of us get caught up on thinking we're judging people. So if we was to say to another person, I don't really go around them as much as I used to, because they do a lot of partying. They do a lot of, you know, going to everything, every event that come up, they want to go to it, they want to party. I tend to want to be around people who want to focus on different things.
Right.
Because you can be around a group of people who do the same thing that you do, right?
Right, yes.
Like if you're a person that likes to go to the bar and hang out a little bit, there are groups of people who do that, but instead of talking about the game, you know, or whatever, or he said, she said, they talk about the things that they trying to get into in their life.
Right.
So they might be at the bar having drinks, eating wings, talking about cryptocurrency. You know what I mean? Talk about investments in cannabis and things of that nature. So it's not saying, you know, you can't still have your fun, But you got to get around people who have different conversations if you want to be different.
You do.
You cannot become different with the same circle.
You can.
You just can't. You know what I mean? You're going to have an alternative circle, if not a completely new circle.
Yeah, because everybody in that circle is not trying to evolve. Some people are
Right.
content with where they are.
A lot of us are
It
content.
just depends on what you want.
Right. A lot of us are content.
It depends on your own desires.
Yes, you got to have that desire and be willing to make certain sacrifices, like telling people, no, I'm not spending that money this weekend. I'm using it for something else. All right, let's move on to number 10, the 10th principle, transmutation. This is one of the more controversial points in Hill's book. He explains that we all have strong sexual energy within us that we use to charm and attract the people we have interest in. If we gather this energy and use it through creative imagination, we will be able to sound and seem more charming to people. This charm can help us get what we want by convincing people around us through whom we may be able to achieve what we desire. All right, transmutation.
So we have to learn how to turn that charm around to something different.
Sexual energy.
So we got to turn that around to, because they said we have a lot of sexual
A lot of sexual energy.
So we have to use transmutation for that.
Use that to win people over. That's what I pretty much got from it.
That's what I'm assuming it's
If
saying.
we gather this energy and use it through creative imagination, we will be able to sound and seem more charming to people.
Yes.
So you got to use what you got to get what you want.
I guess that song was on point.
I guess it was on point because that's all I'm hearing, you know, because they worded it fancy, right? If we
gosh.
gather this energy and use it through our creative imagination, we will be able to sound and seem more charming to the people. That just sounds like you got to use what you got to get what you want.
To get what you desire.
To get what you desire. I think this. I think this is powerful, especially for women. You get what I mean? Because there are women who know how to use their charm, their sexual energy, their appearance, so forth and so on. It has been proven through political science that more attractive candidates get more votes.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So part of Obama was he's a nice looking man. You get what I'm saying? Versus, say, John McCain. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this has got to play a part in that. You know, like there are people who look at Obama and Michelle and be like, oh my God, they're so sexy. You know what I mean? Like they're using their sexual energy in a way that's making them more likable,
Right.
you know, more pleasant, so forth and so on. So yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's real.
Because they have had time to sit and think about ways how to do that.
Yes. It says this charm can help us get what we want by convincing people around us through whom we may be able to achieve what we desire. So be charming. There's nothing wrong with being charming. Even if people know that you're turning it on, you know, you're pouring it on a little thick, they still will respect that you did it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even if they walk away and be like, she was so fake with all that, but you know what? At least she played the game.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to her. At least she played the game. You know, so it's a little respect thing going there. All right, number 11. The subconscious mind. Offensive. We truly want something, but are limited by our beliefs and not being able to control toiling vibrations in a manner that will help make us desire this reality. We can control our subconscious mind by controlling and quieting our conscious mind and instilling the beliefs we want to see reflected in our lives. This is based, that's a typo. This is achieved through meditation because we can truly control and tune into our own subconscious in simple words. Our subconscious is the real mastermind that decides what and will not manifest in our lives. All right, so this is what I was talking about earlier. See how they said the subconscious is the real mastermind. So what goes on in your life is really coming from the back of your mind. It's not coming from the front. The front of your mind makes simple decisions. You know what I mean? I'm going to eat crabs tonight. You know what I mean? We're going to this event tonight. We're doing this, we're doing that. Your subconscious mind is where you're lacking the confidence to achieve your goals,
Yes.
your desires. So it's almost through auto-suggestion. You are tricking your subconscious mind into believing what you needed to believe. You Get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you're telling yourself that you deserve to be rich, right?
Yes.
You don't really believe that.
Right.
Your subconscious mind doesn't really believe that.
Right.
But what you're keying in on is saying, I know if I repeat this X amount of times to my subconscious mind, it will have no choice but to believe it. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
You say it enough. You
Right,
start
exactly.
To
So you start saying it, and the subconscious mind is like, whatever. I don't believe this at all, right? But then you keep saying it, and then the subconscious mind is like, well, wait a minute, maybe this is really gonna happen. You know what I mean? Before you know it, it's cheering you on, and then that's that signal that gets sent out into the universe.
Yes.
And before you know it, your desires is coming to fruition.
Man, I'm telling you, you're gonna have to have a whole lot of faith.
You're going to have a whole lot of faith. A lot of this stuff is going to take practice.
Get over these humps.
It's going to take practice. I say get the book. Like this is a start for you listening to the principles on this show. But I say get this book and read it, you know what I mean? And then see for yourself and put it to the test. That's always the true thing. Like you don't have to even listen to experts when it comes to things like this. You have the ability to test it yourself.
Yes.
You can get that book, study it, read it, test it, and then make your own decision if it worked. Because that's the only real way you're going to get it.
It is.
You know what I mean? You're going to have to test it out yourself.
I mean, even while you're doing all of these things, I mean, you can't just do them while you're doing them. You have to be evolving some kind of way, and you have to be putting yourself in a better position.
Copy. True.
To be able to do these things. Like, you have to set yourself up.
Yeah. You got to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
You have to challenge yourself. You got to be willing to challenge yourself. All right, so we got 5 minutes. Let's do number 12, the brain. According to research, when our creativity spikes or subconscious mind reaches a state where it can be programmed comparatively easily, which is why we need to be involved in the creative tasks that help us get into the right state of mind. When we repeat affirmations in our conscious mind while allowing ourselves to reach this state of mind through creative visualization and imaginations, the pictures in our conscious mind are perceived as reality by our subconscious mind. In simple words, when we visualize something, our subconscious mind cannot differentiate between the scene being a figment of your imagination or actual reality. Okay, so this is getting into what I just said, the trickery.
Yes.
You have to trick your subconscious mind. So they're saying by visualizing what you want. So I got to keep visualizing this BMW 7 Series until my subconscious mind says, okay, he's going to get this. He's going to get this. I always like to throw my Beamer out there. If anybody ever wanted to donate something to the BBD, I take free BMWs. So we got to use visualization and imagination. So pictures. Now we're getting back to dream boards, right? So that's what your dream board's for. You got the pictures up on there of the things you want to happen in your life, and you walk by it every day, and you tell your subconscious mind, that's my BMW.
Right.
It's my Beamer.
It's my 6-figure
Who
year
got
salary.
the keys to my Beamer? Visualization, right?
Yes.
All right, number 13. The sixth sense. This is for intuition or gut feeling, and it becomes more profound when you start meditating and tuning into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is your connection with the infinite wisdom of the universe. When we tune into our subconsciousness, which is in turn tuned into the universe, we get answers to our questions that would otherwise have eluded us. These answers may come to us as hunches or gut feelings, and this is why they must not be ignored. So this is our gut feeling. This is our gut feeling.
Yes.
These are things that are being relayed to us.
That's that 6th sense.
That's that sixth sense.
It's either that 6th sense or that 6th sense.
Sick as in S-I-C-K. Yeah, so this is our gut feeling. So he's saying we gotta acknowledge that gut feeling. We gotta understand that this is coming from your subconscious mind. So this is your subconscious mind not receiving from you, but telling you something. You know what I mean? Because remember, the subconscious mind deals with reality, whatever that reality is.
So that's why they say go with your gut.
Go with your gut.
Because a lot of times you get it in your gut and you still wind up going the other way, and then
Right.
you're like, I should have went with the gut.
You should have went with your gut. And of course, we're speaking on a carnal level. Spiritually, I personally think it's the set apart spirit. But for those who don't know what that is, it's God. You know what I mean? This is God Himself whispering in your ear. So that's why that day you decided to take 95 instead of Route 40, and then come find out that route that you normally take, it was a huge car accident with an explosion. You know, so we call it gut feeling, we call it sixth sense, but on the spiritual essence, this is God. This is God telling you something. You know, so we have to start tuning into that and taking heed to it. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the 13 principles of the book Think and Grow Rich. And I'll recap all of them real quick for you. All right, so let's find number one here. All right, so number one of the 13 principles was desire. Number 2 was faith. Number 3 was auto-suggestion. Number 4 was specialized knowledge. Number 5 was imagination. Number 6 was organized planning. Number 7 was decision. Number 8 was persistence. Number 9 was the power of the mastermind. 10 was transmutation. 11 was the subconscious mind. 12 was the brain. 13 was the sixth sense. So those are the 13 principles of the book Think and Grow Rich. We'll do another show where we pick one of these 13 principles and then go further in depth on that one. Maybe like auto-suggestion, you know what I mean, or the mastermind, things of that nature. But this is a great book to add to your collection if you're into reading books and learning knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And this will help you achieve certain things in your life that you want to achieve. So as usual, we thank you all for hanging out with us today. Again, we apologize for the late start with the show, but things happen. And tune in with us next Monday. We'll be back with another exciting episode. And as usual, on behalf of the BBD team and my lovely co-host, the lovely Miss Janice.
I have something to say.
Yes.
You were saying add that book to your collection. Add the new BBD t-shirt to your collection.
Yes. Make sure you check out our new breast cancer awareness. That's the Pink Ladies V-neck BBDs that the lovely Miss Janice is wearing today, and she looks very nice in it.
Thank you.
We need you guys' support, and again, this is going to also help families who are struggling with breast cancer as we speak right now. So again, we thank you for tuning in with us. Come back next week. We'll be back with another exciting episode for you. On behalf of the BBD team and my co-host, the lovely Miss Janice, I'm your boy, Brother Mike. I'll catch you on the flip side. Black side, baby. Peace.
Business owners, need more customers? Offer fantasy sports contests and generate more sales. Restaurants, bars, hotels, auto dealerships, real estate offices. Whatever your business, fantasy sports contests can help you increase your sales and bring you more loyal customers. Visit Fanify.com